Parental warning, this show, probably PG. You know, Thanksgiving is the busiest travel holiday, but I'm staying home this year, mostly to make sure no one in a uniform gets handsy with me. Okay, so clearly something is getting frisky in airline security. Is the TSA totally ineffective? Do scanners represent a health risk? Do scans and pat-downs violate your rights? Has the whole thing been blown out of proportion? If when you say blown out of proportion, you mean vast throngs of people are being violated en masse by groping TSA agents, well then yes. It's definitely been limited to an isolated number of cases, just a handful of pat-downs, like 600 complaints worth, however many that is. And then there's the story about leaked body scan images, and there's 100 or so of those, but that wasn't actually the TSA, and they keep trying to point that out to clear their name, as if that mattered. They also keep saying things to make you feel better about scanners, like the machines can't store or transfer images, and that they're automatically deleted. Yeah, that's like telling me the security rubdown I'm receiving is for my own safety. Kind of a lie, a warm, not very comforting lie. In fact, an official memo states TSA requires AIT machines to have the capability to retain and export images only for testing, training, and evaluation purposes. Right. Some people are saying if you don't like it, don't fly, but that's a little like saying if you don't like harassment at work, get a job somewhere else, or if you don't like being pulled over in Arizona, don't drive, or don't be Mexican. And others say it's not a constitutional right to refuse to be scanned or patted down, except that it can be and is viewed by some as a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights against unlawful searches. Why do you care if you don't have anything to hide? I do have something to hide, and that's why I wear clothes. You see, normally a cop has to have a justifiable reason to search you or your cavities, and if he doesn't, he gets in trouble. But the feds are telling us that the TSA doesn't need a reason. I don't happen to believe that getting on a plane constitutes probable cause to be searched as a terrorist. Even if it is supposedly keeping me safe, and that's debatable, it sets a horrible legal precedent. As long as you're engaging in an activity that constitutes a sufficiently high risk for a terrorist bombing attempt, it's okay to electronically strip search you, or if you refuse, to take the electronic out and do it the old-fashioned way. And it may not stop there. If someone wears explosive undies and tries to set them off at the Super Bowl, you might find more uniforms and more hands in more exciting places, like sporting events, concerts, the subway, the theater, or on your next Disney cruise. But we can always hope if security dresses up as Mickey, it'll be less traumatic. Ha ha ha! Is there a health risk? The TSA says that being scanned exposes you to less radiation than a cell phone. That just sounds like another lie. I haven't read any medical studies about the effects of long-term exposure to these scans, probably because there aren't any, but I'm gonna err on the side of the people who get scanned the most. American Airlines and US Airways have advised their employees to refuse full body scans for health reasons. You would think if the scan was less dangerous than a cell phone call, the professionals wouldn't mind. Now maybe you're still saying big deal, who cares? Why not allow people to get scanned and frisked if it makes everyone safer? Because it doesn't. Do you remember in December 2001 that guy in France who tried to smuggle explosives in his shoes and then they caught him for being suspicious and stopped him on board the plane? Now Americans have to take off their shoes, but the French don't. Guess what? Neither do the Israelis, and their terrorist threat is huge by comparison. Both the shoe bomber of '01 and the underwear bomber of '09 got caught not because of TSA security measures, but because of suspicious behavior and the brave actions of passengers and crew. When the Israeli government tightened security and people had to wait in line for 30 or 40 whole minutes, the Israelis said, "We're not gonna do this. You're gonna find a way to take care of security without touching the efficiency of the airport." And that is what Israel has today, a system that protects life and limb without annoying you to death. The 9/11 excuse for all the additional security is wearing a little thin. Contrary to what you may think, searching everyone doesn't necessarily make you safer. It keeps security personnel distracted, wasting time and resources on sheer volume. It's like saying in order to cut down drinking and driving, we're gonna stop everyone on the freeway and do a breathalyzer test. In LA, at rush hour. Long lines, but no safer. Very counterproductive. And get this, the TSA has no proven performance record. There isn't one publicized account of the TSA foiling any kind of terrorist plot. They claim that for security reasons, they can't divulge how many incidents they've prevented, but these are the same guys who've lied to us before, repeatedly. Mostly what they do is confiscate dangerous restricted items like shampoo, the water in your water bottle, or those dreaded fingernail clippers. Yeah, go after the pilot with those babies. Forget the locking cockpit door and the Sky Marshal. With that fold-out fingernail file, you're gonna bring this plane down. In a 60 Minutes interview, the outgoing head of TSA stated that we are at war and Al-Qaeda will recruit anyone they can. Sounds reasonable until you realize that his statement was justification for physically searching a wheelchair-bound elderly woman.
Jihad, sonny!
Opinion polls have recently shown that our tolerance for airport security has dropped from 80% to 64%. I expect it to go down even further when we realize that all those pervy scanning machines, searches to third base, and wasted time at the airport isn't actually making us any safer. I mean, if it did make people safer, Israel would have been using rubber gloves on their passengers for the past 50 years. Happy holidays from TSA and enjoy your flight, now that all the psychological damage is done.